All right, now let's take a quick walk around the data window. The data window is actually the window that surrounds your audio file when it's open. So when your audio data is displayed, it's all the kind of stuff that's wrapped around it, and there's a lot of cool functionality in there. Let's take a look. Okay, here we've got a file open here in SoundForge. Let's just take a quick walk around the data window. First, right at the top here, you can see that our file name displayed, so we can kind of always keep track of what we've got going on there. We've got the standard minimize, maximize, and close buttons here on the upper right-hand side of our window. Just below that, we have what's called the overview bar. Now, the overview bar comes into place when you're zoomed in, and when we get down here and zoom in a little bit, I'll show you what I mean by that. Just coming down below here, we have a few different things. If, for example, right now we have the time showing exactly where our cursor is right now. If I move my cursor to a different location, it's now going to show that location in my audio file. This is displaying in hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. So I'm at 5.526 milliseconds right now, and I'm at 14.814. What we're looking at up here in the window is these two windows will become populated if I make a selection, and it'll show where my selection is from. So the beginning of my selection is at 8.226266 seconds, or in this case 8312, and it goes until 13.931, showing me that it is a selection length for a total of 5.619 seconds. So you can really accurately, via timecode, make selections and make cursor location, and find cursor locations that you want to. There's also some menu capabilities, especially some of the go-to stuff that we'll get into a little bit later, that can also make it really cool and be able to easily get your cursor to a specific location. What we're looking in here in this data display is a zoom ratio. It's referring to the zoom as we zoom into our image here. Now there's two different zooms. You'll notice there's a zoom here and there's a zoom over here. The zoom on the right-hand side is zooming in, and you can see the ratio changing in here. I'm at 1 to 256 now. I keep zooming in, keep zooming in, keep zooming in. And I can get down to 1 to 1 and then go beyond that even, get all the way down to 24 to 1 magnification. Pretty precise stuff. You can do some pretty amazing editing at this level. You can get all the way back by just clicking back out here on the minus key. There are some shortcuts, and I'll show you a couple of those in a second. Two arrows here basically let you expand your window to the full size of the screen so you can fill up all your real estate on the screen. So there I go. I've expanded that up. This zoom button lets you zoom in from top to bottom, so I can expand my waveform up and down. So I can kind of do a combination of the two if I want to. I can also stretch my window here. So if I want to stretch my window way down, I can zoom in to my waveform this way as well. And then zoom in here tighter, and then get another look here, and then go in tighter here, and then expand this, or make it a little bit smaller. You get the idea. You can see that you have a lot of flexibility in terms of the zoom controls. A cool shortcut, if you want to get back to where you were, right-click here, go to zoom, and go to normal, and there you go. You're back to where you were. You have the capability of doing some custom zooms as well, too. And I'll show you later in the preferences menus where you can set these up. But you can zoom into specific locations. If you go there a lot for specific kinds of editing, you can get down to 1 to 1 right away, or you can zoom all the way back up to normal. So there's the zoom functions. What we've got down here now is the play controls. We've got the standard play normal. We've got our stop button, and we've got our go to end. Cursor jumps to the end, or go to start control. You can also see there's key commands here. You can do control home, control end. The space bar does this, and play normal. And the space bar will also play as well too. Stop, start is the space bar. This is the plug-in chainer. It allows you to open the plug-in chainer from the data window here. We'll get into the plug-in chainer in a completely separate area. This is the scrubbing tool. This allows you to scrub. Now, there's a couple different ways you can scrub through your audio. And if you're familiar with traditional tape editing, other ways that you view audio or listen to audio, I should say, is that you can scrub it back and forth. So I can actually take this tool and actually go slower or go backwards. whatever speed I want to if I'm very carefully moving the cursor around. I can see there right next to it, it's actually giving me the rate. So I'm almost at 100%, not quite, there I am at 100%, there I am at 200%, you get the idea. It allows me to scrub through my audio. Now if I zoom in here a little bit, let me zoom in. All of a sudden you see that this changed up here. And up here in the overview bar, now I can see where my cursor is in relationship to the track itself. So if I hit play, you can see the cursor is moving up there, and now it's moving along with it. You can see that when you're zoomed in, it gives you a perspective as to where you are in the overall file so that you can kind of get an idea of, well, like in this case right now, my cursor is way over here. But if I jump my cursor back in here, I can see, okay, I'm only looking at this small section of my overall file because I'm so zoomed in. But there's my cursor in both places. Something that's kind of cool is if I make a selection in here, you can see it selects up there and it shows me proportionally how much of a selection I'm looking at and where my selection is. If I had a selection, let's say, for example, if I were to come over here and select this, but then come back over here, you would still see that this is the active area and there's my cursor, but my selection was off over to the side there. Let's do that again. Select here, come back over here, and you can see my selection is off to the side here and just lets me know where that's at. It gives you a visual way and a visual cue of not getting so lost in your files, especially when you're zoomed in a long ways, looking at very fine detail within your file. One other kind of cool thing, it's kind of a trick thing you can do here in the data window, is you can actually scrub by putting your cursor up here in the overview bar. And I can actually scrub it back and forth, and it'll actually loop. So if I wanted to preview a small section, I can actually kind of scrub until I find what I'm looking for and even loop it around by just moving my mouse over where my cursor is located here in the overview bar. So that's pretty much a basic overview of the data window and all of the kind of functionality and capabilities and data that's displayed in there as well too.